right. Let's get started then. All right. So, first of all, I just want to say thanks for joining me today and in this Zoom conversation that we're going to have. Super excited to welcome you, Tori Tyson, head coach of Howard University softball, also formerly see, there it goes, formerly pitching coach at University of Maryland, as well as Cal State Fullerton. And then you did a little stint at Bethune-Cookman as well, I saw.
Yes.
So plethora of experience, also an assistant coach at the MPF for Chicago Bandits. So ton of experience, ton of knowledge. We've been in a lot of spaces the last couple of days around women and women in leadership positions and things like that. So I thought it'd be a great opportunity to bring you on and just have a conversation with you just about leadership. So we're gonna get going here, and anything you want to add, please feel free to do so.
Thank you for having me. First off, I appreciate it.
Yeah, awesome. So, basically I'm jumping right in. What drives you to be so vocal about race? What drives you to be so vocal about women in leadership positions?
To answer the race question, I feel like I was never comfortable speaking on it originally, but I feel like I was called upon with the climate of everything going on in the world. I feel like it's my duty. It's my duty to make it a better environment for the young minority women that are to follow me. So that is very, very important for me. You might see my daughter coming in the background. So um, and then in regards to women, what drives me with women is, again, I have a daughter, as you can see, and I need to open those doors for her so that she doesn't have to deal with any of the challenges that I had to deal with, or the women before me. And I think that the goal is we have to leave every environment we're in better than we found it. And for me, that's something that really drives me as a woman, and especially as a Black woman. Shame on me if I have left an environment the same. I haven't educated the people in that room to make it a more suitable environment for girls that look like me, or for women in general, for women with children, for Black women. I am so passionate because I feel like I have a lot of different labels just in regards to being a full woman. And so it is my duty. I owe it to myself, I owe it to my child, and I owe it to the women who came before me to make these environments better than I found them.
That's awesome. I think that's something that definitely drove me in deciding to move in this venture. I didn't feel as though I necessarily had so much women leadership role models growing up, and so for me, I figured, hey, I want to be able to do this for my athletes, and so I think you hit it on the head with leaving every situation better than it was when you got there. So that's amazing. Along those same lines, I would say, who is there any people in particular that maybe inspired you to have this sort of thinking process?
I think it's in how you're raised. I was definitely the Rolling Stone in our family, out of me and my daughters, and my family has always let me be me. I do feel like I've always had a voice. I was always on a mission to kind of go my own way, and figure out this world in my own way. And so I'm so grateful for that. I see things like that in my daughter. And I don't think that we're all meant to fit into a box. And so it may not feel good to you in that moment as a parent. But shout out to them for letting me become the best version of myself, and make the mistakes I needed to make and nurture them. Rhonda Revelle was another one. I played for her at University of Nebraska. And she could have gave up on me, and I don't know how much I provided on the playing field. But she never gave up on me. Rhonda Revelle, Lori Sipple, Diane Miller, and they're still some of my biggest fans and supporters. Women that look like me, we all grew up wanting to be Natasha Wadley. My older sister, Dina Sly. You didn't see a lot of Black women play in the game. So those women meant so much to me, and I'm going to miss people. Norelle Dickinson, Angelica Sheldon, all of them, Veronica Nelson. We owe it to them. Then when I got into coaching, you don't see a lot of women, or Black women, especially coaching at high ranks. Tyra Perry and how she moves and how she carries herself. I've been so obsessed with her journey. She's just so unique to me, and a great friend of mine. So again, I am grateful for all these things. I'm grateful for Laura Watton giving me my opportunity at Bethune-Cookman, because that was really what kickstarted my career.
Mhm.
And Bethune-Cookman welcoming me in, and learning about HBCU culture and everything. So there are so many people that I can say have inspired me. But one thing is I try to be inspired. Everyone can inspire you. You can be inspired by a homeless man. It's all in how you go in to these interactions. I want to learn something from everybody I meet.
Mhm.
I'm uncomfortable around people that I can't grow around. But at the same time, you can grow and you can learn something from everyone. So anyone that I have come in contact with has impacted me in some way, shape, or form.
I love it. You named so many people there. I'm like, I gotta go back and write those people down because I'm like, let me look them up. It's almost like a history lesson sometimes where you go back and you're like, man, I didn't know about this person, this person, this person. So
It's so
yeah.
important to me is that in order to get to where I am trying to go and change these rooms, you got to know what it was like for those people who were in those rooms before you. You're not your own little superhero. You were
Mhm.
continuing a mission and a battle that people fought long before you. And so with my Zoom calls with my team, just trying the names I know that they have not heard of or thought of, but they were inspired by.
Mm.
So that's been extremely important for me, is elevating those voices from our game in the world that we don't give enough credit. And I want to give them their roses while they're here, because I'm not sitting in this room without them.
Ooh, absolutely, absolutely. That's awesome. So, again, history lesson. And I would say, when you think about the things that maybe could have stopped them from reaching their goals, I want to kind of pin that question on you. What was maybe some of the things that could have stopped you from reaching your goals, but the idea of mentorship and support and helped in your development and performance?
I think just even going to college, my dad making a decision to be present and putting us in the right situation on the right fields, because it is about who you know. And my dad, he came in this game and he promised to coach us all for 5 years,
Mm.
all of his daughters. And it wasn't supposed to turn into what it turned into, but he created an environment that I could thrive in, and he found me a home, as well as so many women. But this started with him trying to find home for his children and trying to nurture his children.
Mhm.
And so that's so big for me. This doesn't happen without Marty Tyson.
Mm.
And then going on through my career, I'm so grateful I chose Nebraska because Rhonda Revelle is so well respected. So that opened a lot of doors for me that I didn't realize. But when you can put Rhonda Revelle down because she's earned that respect, it goes places for you. So I know I was destined to be at the University of Nebraska,
Mm.
if not for anything, to be in the rooms that I am in now. And I'm so grateful for that. And again, it's about representation. There are people that are elevating me now that I don't even know they are. Jackie Joseph at Michigan State, she speaks highly of me in rooms that I'm not in yet. And that matters. That is how you help. That's how you're an ally. You're not doing it for credit. I literally heard from someone else a story of her elevating me and my name in a room that I was not in. I didn't ask her anything, and that is amazing. And those are the kind of people that you need to surround yourself with. And yeah, so again, there's been moments, but those are like key things. And again, you are building your brand every time you meet someone or see someone. So I have been authentic to me, and that doesn't always come easy. But when you're doing it, and these people, they're going to remember their experience with you.
Mm.
And so I'm so grateful that I have left a positive impact in a lot of the rooms I've left and on the people that were in there. Because at the end of the day, that is a part of your brand, and people need to believe in your brand in order to elevate you.
That's amazing. So you hit a couple things that are really valuable to me. So building your brand and being your authentic self. Tell me a little bit about how you got to understand those concepts and maybe some ways that you built them over time.
I think that my journey is different because I got into coaching as a mother. So the first couple years were emotionally trying
Mhm.
because I didn't want to be a burden, and I didn't want to have this stigma of being this Black single mom in this white dominated sport, right? And so I went out of my way, but it was my demons and trying to just be bigger than any stereotypes against me. And so I made it it was an internal warfare. And so I think that at the end of the day, I just found peace with who I was. And it made it easier for people around. But there had to be tough conversations, like being a mom, right? Just using that as an example in coaching. you teach people how you want them to treat you. So I had to, at the end of the day, I am bringing a service. I'm bringing something to the table. I was a hardworking pitching coach. So when I was an assistant, I was always trying to serve them. But a part of us having a great relationship and doing great things, you got to be able to serve each other. And I needed to feel like I was thriving as a mother in order to be present at the field. I couldn't. I wasn't one of those parents that could sacrifice it. I can't not be in the know about where my baby is emotionally. I knew where she was physically, but I needed to know where she was, and I needed to know she was good in order for me to show up and be present with my athletes. And so there was tough conversations that had to happen to get there, and it wasn't easy, but I've only regretted conversations I didn't have, none that I've had. Because even if you talk wrong or you say something wrong, you can fix that and you can be better in your next crucial conversation. It's when you don't say anything at all, right? That it doesn't happen. And now there's this conflict that could have been resolved with you saying what you need. It is okay to say what you need as a woman, as a mother. I need these things to be successful in this environment. And that was something that I really had to learn. And that really that's when I started being authentic to myself. When I'm sitting here acting like I'm okay and I'm down for all of this, that's not me being authentic. And so now I have this like conflict because I'm uncomfortable around you and now you're uncomfortable around me. And so truly just being able to have those conversations and not feel guilty about saying I need this
Mm.
to be successful. And I wasn't asking, what I asking wasn't a big ask. It was necessary. It was mandatory. And in coming and being able to have that, it changed the game for me. I remember being out recruiting and I was with a couple young coaches and I was young. You know, I had Skylar. I think I was like 23. But I remember they're like, oh my God, I haven't even had time to get my nails. And it was almost like a competition of who is like not taking care of themselves the most to
Mm.
equate to how hard you're working. And I'm like, this is backwards. Like, this is no, I actually did get my nails done. I did get my hair done. I did wake up in time to make myself feel good and whatever that was. And that is what we need to be celebrating, not lack of self-care making you more of an elite coach. Like,
Mm.
shame on you if you haven't taken care of you, but you're out here trying to mentor young women. It's you can't do both.
Right. Right. That's awesome. So a couple of things like, I mean, the values piece is what I think about a lot. And so, you know, as some of our athletes go through this program with me, they're going to actually complete a personality test. It's a DISC personality test. And so the idea with that is to kind of develop those behavioral styles that they possess and how to communicate to other people what motivates me, as well as what are my needs, what do I value in life and the most. And so, you know, just thinking about your journey, how much further along or not would you have been if you got this experience as far as learning more about yourself and who you are and how to be true to you at a younger age? What do you think that would have done for you in your career now?
Everything. I think everything. I think in so many aspects, I think my life would look completely different. So, I mean, in a positive way, there was moments in my career playing and coaching that I just was not comfortable with who I was. Yet I had demands and expectations for other people. People cannot serve you their best when you don't even know who you are because now you don't know what you need to thrive. And so, taking time to evaluate me before I demanded and had all these expectations for people around me has been everything. It has literally been everything. And these young women, what you're doing is so powerful because you sit here and you're like, you're asking questions about how can this college coach see me and what do I need to do? You aren't ready all the time to put yourself on that kind of stage. And it is okay to not be ready. What's a shame is to not do things to prepare yourself. And half of it is how you carry yourself. I threw 56 miles, 57 miles per hour and got a scholarship to a Big 12 school. And half of it is I carried myself like I threw 65. So the power of just being confident in yourself, people feed off the energy you give. So beyond the fact that I want to see kids that can hit and be extremely athletic, man, I personally want to be around young women that can inspire me to be a better coach. As much as they're looking for us to inspire them, we are looking to be inspired by either your story, your work ethic, what the show you put on when you're out there. And a lot of people aren't comfortable being like the show when they're out on that field because they're not comfortable with themselves yet. And so I think this is so powerful and so necessary to do that right now.
Absolutely. And definitely along the same lines of that, I also recognize and noticed how much our athletes tend to put value and performance in the same bucket. And I feel like a lot of our student athletes that are younger and even older now in college, as I've been coaching for a while, have definitely struggled with that piece of, worth and value equaling performance and versus equaling the process and what I'm putting into it and the hard work and all the character skills that could potentially make them better in the long run in life. And so, maybe how was some ways that you adapted to the ideas of pressure and performance, and then working on yourself?
I think value and performance is so important and not trying to mix those two. I did not start at the University of Nebraska, but if you looked at the line at the end of the game, I had just as many people asking for my autograph because it's how you carry yourself, it's how you interact. And I always like at that time, I'm like, man, this is weird. I would get like emails and I again I did not start. I started 1 year, which was my last year there. And this little girl was like, can you come to my game? And this was really a turning point in my life. She asked me if I could come to her little rec ball game. And so before we had to report one day, my mom was in town in Nebraska, and I went to her game. And I mean, it just made her life. The entire team came at the end of the game, and she would post, and like it became a memory, and she would send it to me like every year. And just the impact, realizing my impact was so much bigger than what I did on the field. I learned that very early. But at the end of the day, there's this idea that if you work, right, the game is going to pay you back. My dad, Mighty Tyson, I bless him. I would call him and complain, and he'd be like, all right, go work out. Like that was it. He would listen and then tell me to go pitch more. And I didn't always get the payback. I didn't get the starting job. I'd have a good outing and I wouldn't get on the field, for a couple weeks. But at the end of the day, I kept working. The game doesn't owe you and it doesn't pay you back always immediately. And that's what I mean is that you can't put in the work looking for this like exact resolution. The game has paid me back now in my later life.
Mhm.
What I put into the game then, I'm seeing now. You may not see it immediately, but your value needs to be in your work, not in your performance.
Wow.
Right? My work was bigger than even just going to hit reps. I was a voice of reason for some of my teammates.
Mhm.
Right? I was a captain. I brought a little bit of spirit. You gotta find your lane, right? And then thrive in it. Find
Absolutely.
your lane and thrive, and that's the only place you can be great at, in your own lane. And so, that was something that I discovered there, and that's something that I really encourage our youth, is you gotta stop looking at these girls that you idolize on TV. What is your lane? Where are your strengths? And your value needs to be in that, in the work you put to nurture those. That doesn't mean you don't work on your weaknesses, but when you're a part of a team, find your value in what is missing on that team,
Mm.
not on lanes that are filled just because you want them.
Wow. Yes, exactly. And I would just piggyback off of that a little bit that I feel as though some of those pressures come from parents, and come from the parents' expectations of them. And so, what advice might you give to a player that could help them navigate through values, performance, parent expectations, coaches' expectations, things like that?
You're allowed to have a crucial conversation with people you love. And I think that we need to realize that in 2020, that there is a way to have a conversation. And I'm not encouraging being disrespectful at all because Skylar bet not. But I would hope that my daughter is loved and feels safe enough to have an honest conversation with me. And I will be honest, how Skylar handles it, she's doing basketball right now. And she's picked it up really well. But it's so amazing the piece she's at with it. When she's done with basketball, she's done with basketball. She
Mm,
deads the conversation, like whether it's a good workout or a bad workout. If I'm like Skylar, she'll look at me and basically like looking at me as if, are you done? Because I am. Like I'm good with what happened either way, and I'll be back the next day. And I think that that's amazing. And again, our youth, I think they're the smartest people walking this earth. And I learned that from her, and just being again, but she's at peace with herself. She's at peace with her performance. Skylar knows she worked hard, even if she didn't have the result didn't look like that.
mm,
And so, why are you going to go back and forth about something that's true to you? Like, how can I tell her if she's at peace with what she did in that workout? She's done
mm,
with it. But again, if you can't have crucial conversations with people you love or people in your circle, that's a problem in itself. And even as parents, as a parent, you have to understand that some of the realest conversations they're going to have are going to come from you. You're training them to how to have a crucial conversation, because if you then attack or you can't receive it, they're going to be uncomfortable having those conversations moving further. But again, I think that as a kid, though, on the opposite token, I didn't work hard, and Marty's vision for me was harder than what I was willing to work for. And I'm going to say that again. I did not put in no work in Marty's vision. So the only time we clashed is when his passion outweighed mine, because he was financially invested in it. He was taking me to lessons after work. Now, as a grown woman, I didn't deserve to go to some of those lessons. Marty did not deserve for his paycheck to be cut to some of those pitching lessons he spent on. This man would work a graveyard, come off work, sleep for a couple hours, take me to my pitching lesson, and come back and give lessons. And so, again, for you athletes that might feel that, sometimes it may come off that they're upset about your performance, but a lot of times they're upset about your process.
Oh,
That you
wow.
didn't control your process to get a better performance. And so if they see you working and grinding, there's no way, right, that they're going to be disappointed in that. And I had a hard time separating that coming from my parents. It wasn't until I became a parent that I got that.
And I think those conversations are crucial because they also train you on how to communicate with your college coaches. I think a lot of times our athletes will come in and they're just so scared to have those conversations when they want to know, why am I not playing? Why am I not starting? Or, maybe some other things that's outside of softball. It's a matter of just being open and free enough to have that conversation. And there's so many kids that will yield themselves to that, for
I don't know
whatever
if you
reason.
watched We Coach on the Hulu, or sorry, gosh, I'm terrible with names, but it was a We Coach. And one of the best things I heard is it was like, get curious, not furious. And
Mm,
I just loved it. Like, if you understand why your parents are where they are, or why you know what I mean, and acknowledge that, don't get mad about it, find out, right, like where it's at. And I thought that that was just amazing.
absolutely, for sure, for sure. So when you think about leadership, what comes to mind? Like, and then do you think that the role of athletics enhances that skill or not?
Yeah, I think leadership is showing up. I think leadership is showing up every day, and in being a woman or a man of your word, being authentic, in high character. But again, half of leadership is showing up, and showing up on the days that it is not easy to show up,
Mhm.
because followers won't, right? Leaders, they have to show up, they have to be present. And I think that, sorry, what was the second part of that question? I want to make sure I get it answered.
Yeah, no, just basically, do you feel like athletics enhances it
Yeah.
or
Oh,
or
absolutely. Because as with athletics, whether you fell or not, you think about when we were younger and playing 4 games a day. You could go 0 for 12 or not get out of an inning. You had to show up the
Mhm.
next day. And I think athletes, it gives us the tools. It's how you embrace the tools now that's going to separate you from becoming a leader, and getting the message out of these. And so I wasn't a great athlete, but I feel like I learned so much of my core values. Through sport, right? That I wouldn't have got in any other area. And so again, when you guys are going and you're struggling and you're in the grind of this stuff, find the message in it. That's what I encourage, because that it'll always make it worth it. Find the message, find the story that can be told about this current moment in your life.
Mm.
Write it down and remember it, because if not, it becomes a personal thing now between you and sport, and you don't ever want to get there. But there is messages in the struggle.
Hmm, say it again. Oh my goodness. So you mentioned something about core values, and I just wanted to hit on that real quick. Would you mind just telling us maybe what a couple of your core values are and how you came up with them?
Commitment to excellence is top of it. And again, authenticity is huge for me. That's something I really value. Gosh, so much. Just being honest. And I think when we speak of honest, we think about being honest with other people. We need to be honest with ourselves, before we can be honest with other people. So that's really, really important for me. Serve, just this service, the act of serving. I think that we need to wake up every day and find somebody that we can serve. That gives us purpose. That
Mhm.
gives us purpose. And I don't think you're living unless you have purpose. You can be walking this earth every day and you have not lived until you have found your purpose. And you're not going to find your purpose unless you are willing to serve. So that is extremely, extremely important for me. I like have this laundry list of them.
Yeah.
Those are like the ones I really try to hold myself accountable for.
Absolutely. One of mine's is actually responsibility, and then the other one is gratitude. I feel like there's so many people out there now that we just get so caught in the hustle and bustle of trying to make it, trying to defeat other people, trying to compete with other people, that we don't stop and just think about how grateful we are to be in this predicament to begin with. And I think if we can justify our gratitude and our reasons for being there, that it'll create us to launch so much further in the world. And so I'm with you on that 100%. And so, along the same lines with that, I think we have to redefine what success means in life, and in athletics, but in life, I think. And so I think a lot of our kids find a lot of identity in what success is. And they, like I said, equate it to the wins and losses or the hits that they hit in the game or the shots that they make. Um, do you have any advice for how we can help our student athletes or our parents redefine success?
I think as a parent, I am going to feel like a successful parent if my daughter is a productive citizen in this world and being productive. Has she served people? Has she been good to people? So I think that before you want to, like, hey, my daughter's an All American. How did your daughter make people feel?
Mm,
How did she impact environments that she was put in? How does she impact people that she comes in? Because that's a reflection of you. That's the true reflection of you. It is not a reflection of you, their athleticism, or what they do on the field. It is a reflection of you of who they are. So that's really, really important. And for athletes, like I said, find your lane and be great at it. Right? Like find where you can thrive at, and nurture those, and don't look for the bad in you, look for the great in you. That is a choice in what you choose to evaluate. And I believe in power of choice so much, because it's not easy. The easiest thing is to point out what's wrong with you.
mm,
Acknowledge the things that you're super proud of and do that early and say it out loud and say it to people. You can't ask of everyone to see the good in you and you can't see the good in yourself. That is huge. That is so huge. And again, something I wish I would have actively thought about prior. But one thing I get, these kids will come to college and sometimes they're looking for me to like verify themselves, like make them feel good about them. What I want to do is I want to encourage you to be like this amazing woman and help you reach these places. I don't want to, and I get it, right? You're not every athlete's gonna be this way, but man, it's so much easier to start talking about softball when someone comes knowing them, the person is straight. I'm a good person. I'm a great person, right? I might need to work on staying inside the ball and all of these things, but trying to grow the person is so much harder. And I can't make a full athlete if the person is off, right? If there's no love for the person or this person doesn't see their strengths, I'm spending more time trying to convince them of this instead of us being able to get to the grind, right? The one thing that we do got in common is a love for softball. We can't talk softball when you don't when you're not comfortable with you. We can't get into
Lord, yes, absolutely. So when I think about what you're saying, I think about the word confidence, and that's another thing that we definitely want to continue to work on with our athletes. And so, in ways that we do that is thinking about previous successes or thinking about the process over the outcome. Getting more comfortable with who you are, staying in your lane, all the things that you're talking about. And so, I'm grateful for you for bringing that up. And so, I guess one final question would be if you can give your self advice of when you were younger, to help you be successful now in life, what would you say to yourself?
have the conversation. I would tell myself, there's never a right time to have a crucial conversation. There's not going to ever be this right moment. Um, uh, what else would I say? I would tell myself that I am allowed, that my feelings are real, and I'm allowed to speak on them, and I'm allowed to demand. I'm allowed to teach people how to treat me. I am allowed to tell you that I need this because I am willing to give you what you need. I am willing to serve, so I'm allowed to demand people to serve me as well.
That's
Um, so those are two things, like I said, that if I could go back into my career, my playing career, any level, I would say these things to myself, and I hope that that helps some young athletes out there. And you're enough. You are enough. The only time we don't feel enough is when we're not putting in enough to
mm,
ourselves. You are enough, but don't just say it. I'm not telling you to just say it and not live by it. You are not enough if you're not willing to invest in yourself. No one else is going to invest in you.
Mm.
So you are enough when you make a decision to invest in you in some form or capacity every day.
Absolutely. So I hope that you all out there are listening to this and understand that these are some of the things that you need to do to own your power in the world. Like I said in many occasions, and it's my slogan on my website, you are destined for more. You can definitely get out there and perform confidently. You can compete successfully and you can lead powerfully. So I hope that you own that and you live with it and keep pushing. So thank you so much, Coach Tyson, for sitting down with us. And